Shout out Sniper T on the beat.
Tamara to the break of dawn is on the rise, with life on the forefront of the mind. So line for line, you can ride this brain train and you can change your station without even touching the dial. So relax, stay a little bit, but listen for a while. And whether you're bumping this in the whip or in a business fit, it's a meeting you won't want to miss. A meeting for a meal to feed the soul with words for the mind. So sit back, enjoy the ride. Time to take off, it's time to fly. Cause Tamara till the break of dawn is on the rise.
Hey, 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 hey. Yes, it's me, Tamara. I know I'll be trying to switch up the intros because I really get bored. If you're OG for real, y'all remember when I first started, I used to be like, what up though, in the intro. So, as we continue on this journey, when I get bored with whatever, I'm gonna, switch it up. But I need y'all to say my name right. So I will always say Tamara so that you know that it's Tamara, not Tamara, not Tamara, Tamara. You feel me? But welcome back to the show. For all my new listeners, it's your first time tuning in. New episodes drop every Thursday. Usually talk about my life, how I'm trying to grow. All my day 1, 2, 3, 4, episode 100 in this thing. All y'all, thank you so much for continuing to support me. If you're not, you should be following me on social media. So you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, the Tiki Talk, and the links to all of those for my personal ones are in the episode notes. You can also follow my business social media page. My website is in the episode notes, and you can access that there. Excuse me. Announcements. I almost choked. I'll talk about podcast happy hour at the end.
That's what she said.
Lord have mercy. As y'all can see, I have a guest. That is what we do. That's what she said. I'm mad she was quiet this whole time, except for that. Anywho, the spoken word night, we're celebrating my 2-year anniversary is next month on the 12th. So on that day at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, I am going to be doing another live show with Penrose and LNZ. And we're going to do some poetry in this thing. You feel me? So be looking out for that. I'll be listening more. By the time this airs, you will have maybe, unless you were watching, just missed the West Side Connection gang karaoke battle in this thing. I'm sure it was a great time. It has not happened yet as of the recording of this episode. So the link to that will be in the episode notes if you want to catch the replay. So enough of all that. My guest is a repeat. She is not new. If you know who the podcast happy hour is, or my crew, as I like to call them, or she's been on here by herself. I was thinking about how on the first time she was on here, I was like, JBoog for show, but we'll get into her later.
And the shock on my
and that's
face.
also what she said.
That is.
Yeah, and the shock on her face. Oh man, such a funny memory. So everybody, welcome to the stew, as she says, the virtual studio. JBoog for show. Hashtag free JBoog for show. You know what I'm saying? We ain't forgot about you. But yes, welcome.
Thank you for having me on this special episode. I feel super honored, and I'm just ready to have some fun. I don't know what's in store, but I'm excited to be here and extremely, like I said, honored to be here for your 100th. So thank you.
Yes. Of course. I'm so grateful that every little idea I have or every little thing I want to try, you're always there to just show up. Now this time I gave her like way more detail, I think, than ever before. So there's that. But we always got surprises. That is
and
the
I
thing
barely
with
read
my
that.
guests. Oh, wow. Okay.
I looked at it, but I've been busy. I'm sorry.
That's great. I'm glad it meant nothing to you, as
It
I'm all
did.
excited about
I'm looking at it now.
Oh, okay. That's great. That's great. So let's go ahead and get into the surprise that I have for you. So as you all know who listen regularly, I have a segment called I Saw a Tweet, where if I see a tweet on the Twitterverse, then I will bookmark it if it sparks some sort of whatever, and then I will discuss it. And when Juice was on, I decided to put the thing down, flip it, and reverse it and discuss his tweet. And then I thought, you know what? Whenever I have a guest, I think I'm going to go through their tweets and find a tweet to discuss. So, Jay, let's get into this week's I Saw a Tweet segment with a tweet from Jay's Quick 3 Pod. I wish somehow we could get into JBoog for show and go through old tweets, but
you don't want to do that.
Twitter is a hater and we cannot do that. So here we go with I Saw a Tweet. Now, this was really interesting because Jay really didn't say much with the tweet. So let's actually, I gotta look over here. Let's actually click. Come on, clicky. Let's actually click here first. Okay. So Double XL Magazine tweeted and said that Fat Joe, if you don't know who that is, that's a rapper, calls DaBaby. If you don't know who that is, that's another rapper. The 2021 version of Tupac, and requested their thoughts. Now, Jay, as you can see if you're watching on the YouTube, you see this elderly white gentleman in a GIF. He's parched, you know what I'm saying? He's thirsty, and he's drinking a bottle of water. However, he chokes a little bit as if he cannot believe, or I don't know. I'm not sure why Jay chose this gift, so let me not lead her answer. But I thought let's go ahead and discuss and let's tell us your thoughts and tell my listeners your thoughts, because this seemed important enough for you, a music lover, and I love Tupac, and I mean, you know, I like some of the Baby songs. I ain't gonna lie, even though I'm generally not a fan of these newfangled artists. But what were your thoughts on this, Jay? What struck you so much with this tweet that it caused you to choose this elderly white gentleman GIF? Parched.
Call him elderly white gentleman.
Is he young? I mean, you see.
Well, I'll tell you who he is.
Okay. Well, this elderly white gentleman choking on his water. So let's get into that tweet, Jay.
Oh, okay. So I've used this back in my JBoog for show days. I use this GIF a lot. It is like a startled. It's like if somebody is talking to you and somebody says or does something that startles you. You know, sometimes when you drink water and you maybe swallow the wrong way, pause. It can choke you. Pause.
Good job on the pause.
But so when I saw this tweet, I couldn't think of any other way to like show what I was thinking, because okay, first of all, I'm not a fan of DaBaby. I know who he is. I've heard some of his songs.
She said I know who he is. That's so funny.
I'm not a fan or anything, but I am, first of all, so tired of people saying that this person is the new version of whatever was in the past. Like, nobody's the new Sade. Nobody's the new Janet Jackson. Nobody's even the new Beyonce. Like, these people are artists in their own rights. Leave them where they are, especially our ones that are no longer with us. Like, there's not going to be another Whitney. There's not going to be another Tupac. There's not going to be another Prince. All these people, leave them. Let them rest. But I damn sure know, even if Tupac was here, how I just don't like where does that come from? I didn't read the article because I didn't care. I was just like, why is this something that you would say? What about the baby makes you think Tupac? Because he definitely doesn't rap like Tupac. He doesn't have the mental capacity in his raps to me that Tupac did. He's not a visionary like Tupac was. He's not that influential like Tupac was. He's not.
Is he uncanceled or like where are we at with that?
I mean, I never canceled him because I wasn't subscribed to him. I mean, I don't know what that means. Like I wasn't. You have to be supporting them to cancel them, I guess.
The shade
but,
is
I mean,
too
I'm
real
just
right now.
I'm just not. I'm not a huge rap fan anyway. Like I said, I've seen some stuff. I've heard some of his songs. Like when he did had songs. Well, I guess he still does, but him and Meg are no longer cool. I heard the songs that they had together. That's kind of how I knew who he was through that. But and he's not a bad rapper, but he's not a Tupac. No, he's not even a. I mean, who was an okay rapper back then? I don't know. He's not. I don't see that, and I don't know what Fat Joe was smoking for him to say that.
So I want to I was just like, your tweet is your tweet, and I just thought it was a good tweet to choose for the segment, especially since you're such a music lover. But you made a good point that I want to piggyback off of, that I see it a lot on Twitter, Facebook sometimes, but I'm not on there as much to really know what although they did quickly hop on that red flag trend, and I was a little bit surprised because they're usually a lot slower than Twitter. It'll be right. It'll be like I see it on Twitter, and then 2 or 3 weeks later when I'm on Facebook, I'll see it and I'm like, y'all late. Like, and then I just go back to Twitter. But you see so much where it seems like nothing can just be its own thing. And I talked about this before when they compare Power to Snowfall, when they compare this movie to that movie, or that artist to that person, or even with looks. It's like, why can't there be two beautiful Black women? Why does it have to be one or the other? Did God like just say, okay, I can only make one beautiful Black woman, and then who did he choose? Like, and I feel like, and you were kind of saying to that, everybody is their own thing, period. Living, dead, whatever. Like, there doesn't need to be this competition, because even like, we're both podcasters, we're both content creators. I'm not out here like trying to compete with you or anybody else. I'm not any less happy for y'all, whatever accolades y'all get, you know what I mean? Or whoever show you're on, or just whatever. I'm not threatened by that. And I feel like a lot of these artists and these people probably aren't intimidated by that, because when you think about the mind of a content creator, most of us, it's so funny because we're actually going to switch the order that we are going to do the show in. So, because I want to, so hit it, Jay. We about to go ahead and get it. Yes. Yes. And the reason why I literally stopped mid-sentence to switch segments, because it was leading into one of the things that I was going to talk about. So I want to set it up before we go too further in the show. So this is my 100th episode, y'all, as I said at the beginning. Yes.
Maybe I should play some
something. Do something. We didn't even yes.
And just for some razzle dazzle.
Yes. Oh, it always makes me happy when she does that. But this is episode 100, y'all, and this is a huge accomplishment for me, because if you've been listening since the beginning, you know that I have never stuck with any creative project as long as I've been doing podcasting. Coming up on 2 years is wild. I've been super reflective on just the relationships that I've built. I said this on last week's episode, just the people that I've met on Twitter, even if we don't talk offline, just like seeing their success, other, you know, content creators or whatever, even seeing people go through things. Like you see a lot when you interact with the same people every day on Twitter, because I'm literally on there every day. Even if I don't tweet, I'm scrolling, I'm seeing what y'all talking about. You know what I mean? And on top of that, this is the first episode of season 5, which is just so dope because we know I don't take breaks. So we know season 4 was just last week. But, you know, things like this always make me stop and pause. And so this episode, I wanted to get into the ways that we have changed in different realms, one of which is being a content creator. And so now let's get back to what I was talking about. I feel like us as content creators, the mind of a content creator is just to create, period. Like I like to, especially now that I have more time, think of different types of shows. If y'all have, those of y'all who have been listening for a while know that I started this show literally, first of all, I didn't have guests for like almost a year. So there's that. And I'm glad I did that because that let me know I could hold it down on my own. You know what I'm saying? There are people that I've talked to that they are a part of a group and they don't feel they could do a solo episode. It is a lot of work when you're a solo podcaster and you do everything for yourself. But I just like to create, and that plays out in different ways. The episodes, the types of episodes, the live shows that I do, all that, sure. But it's beyond that. I'm doing individualized cover art, and we know I wasn't doing that at first. I've updated my StreamYard overlays and stuff. You know we weren't doing that if you've been watching my YouTubes for a while. I'm blogging now. I even do content for my business. And so I just don't understand why, as content creators or as anything, for anybody on the outside looking in, why are you constantly trying to put people against each other? You know what I mean? Like, yep. I'm a good podcaster. She's a good podcaster. Everybody who is taking the time to create content week after week, and we're not talking about the same thing over and over again. Now, I am always talking about my life and the ways I'm trying to grow. Yes, but my life is this be a lot going on. And so it's not the same old. And even if I come back to the same topic, because the pillars that remain the same are being healthy mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, and in your relationships. Those are the 5 pillars that are just important to me, like outside of podcasting. So that's going to always remain the same, but the way I talk about it looks different. And anybody who can get on this mic every week or get in front of a camera, if you're recording visuals, because that takes some getting used to, having to look at yourself while you talk about whatever. Well, if you record on StreamYard, I know different people, you know, they got cameras and all that. We ain't there yet, but I don't even know if we ever gonna be there, honestly, because I like the way I, you know, do what I do, but it takes a lot of courage to do that. So it's like, if you ain't out, especially if you ain't out here doing anything and you're just really just a consumer of whatever content, be it music, whatever, can we just let stuff be? And I feel like I'm probably talking to a wall because I know y'all gonna still be out here comparing stuff.
Well, can I just say, like, I feel like it's not comparisons. I think that's always going to happen because that's people's perceptions are different, and opinions are different. Mm-hmm. It's different. It's a difference between comparing. If we just quickly go back to the artist thing, comparing someone to an artist. Oh, she has a voice like Sade, or I can see her performance like a Janet Jackson, but that's not the next whatever. That's not, right. You know what I'm saying? Like that person's still like the same with podcasting. Mm-hmm. You can compare different podcasts and you can have inspiration from different podcasts, but when you start like taking those things that you're getting and making a podcast out of everybody else's stuff, then that's where we have an issue. So let them do them. You find your lane or whoever it is and find out what makes what your niche is and what your goal is and what it is that you want to do with your podcast. If it is taking a piece from everybody's podcast, then maybe that's what it is. I don't know how successful it would be, but there are hundreds of thousands of podcasts out there. So I mean, maybe you just pick and choose from the right ones that no one has heard, and now you're, banging and popping out there. But for me, I just think it's better to find your own lane and do your own thing. And if people compare you to different things, then I mean, okay, but I'm still me. I'm still,
Right. Yeah. I mean, to that point, yes. So let's go ahead and segue to how have you grown as a podcaster? How have you changed? Hit it, Jay. No. Yes, y'all gonna hear that all throughout the episode. So, yes.
How have I changed? I would say the biggest thing is probably confidence, recording, and actually being on the mic. Like, pause. I didn't think that. I didn't think it would be so, I wouldn't say scary, but intimidating or whatever, just to sit down and the mic and start talking. Because I used to do it as a kid and then didn't think anything of it. But when it came down to me recording my first episode, I used to get so nervous just by myself. Like, I hit record and then I'm like, I hear my voice shaking, or I'm like, now I can't get my thoughts together. And I'm like, no one's here. It's just me in a room. And this is at the time where I didn't have, I still had my rooms here, but it was like, I didn't have a setup. It was literally a cheapy mic that I found on Amazon, a plug-in to my Surface, because I didn't even have a real recording like software or anything. So doing that time after time, I kind of got more confident in talking. That's how it became quick 3, because I would think I'm talking a lot and then I look down and it's like a smooth 15 minutes. And so that's how it would come out. And now it's very hard for me to stay under 40 minutes. And it's because I guess I just am more comfortable just talking, and people, I like to get feedback and I like people to interact with what I'm talking about, or if they're tweeting it out or respond, maybe not live tweeting, but if they're listening and they might say a couple of things about it, so obviously people enjoy it. So I don't know. It just, I feel like I'm more confident. I know a lot more. I started podcasting not knowing anything. Literally, I went on a website that said this is how to podcast. Like, what do you need to podcast? And I went down those bullet points, and then I just started learning how to edit, learning how to use different programs. And then I would start to upgrade a little bit here and there and doing things. And, I just feel like overall, I'm kind of proud of where I've come from in such a short amount of time, because it's only been 2 years, like 2.5 years. But if I go back and listen to my first episode, like, I don't even want to listen to the first episode because it sounded so rough.
I'm thinking about mine when I'm making that face. Lord.
But it's good to see where I came from and where I am now. And in another year or two, I would like to still see progress, because I'm not done yet. This is just the beginning for me. Like, I've learned a lot, but it's still so much more to learn. It's still so much more I want to do. But with the contacts I've made and relationships I built with it, it's like the sky is the limit for it. So that's how I've changed. I've just grown a lot, just in knowledge and in performance, I guess you could say.
So for me, you know what I mean? It's interesting because, like I said, we're coming up on 2 years. And when I think about my podcast, I don't just think about how I've grown as a content creator, which that's one major shift, is that I used to just always say podcaster. Like I didn't really look at things as there's so many different ways that you can create content. Like when Janae got her nose pierced and I did my first voiceover video of that, that's content. You know what I mean? The types of content that I create for my business page is different than podcasting, and there's even different types of videos that I do. Excuse me, but it's still content. The blogging that I do, and so there's that. There's the fact that I didn't even use a content create. I mean, I didn't use the term content creator. I just always said podcaster. But then let's talk about equipment, because your girl really used to be in the closet. Want to talk about cheap mics? I had some little mic that I plugged into my phone because I did a little bit of research. I listened to a few Anchor podcasts they have about how to start a podcast, watched a couple of YouTube videos, asked other content creators that do like movie production and all this, just a little bit of suggestions, and then did the best I could to create decent sound, which, considering I was using a little plug-in mic in my phone in the closet with the blankets around it to absorb the sound. Talk about started from the bottom. Now we here to where now I have, first of all, I'm doing video because I wasn't doing video at first. I would upload video over just a graphic with some wiggly line from about episode 7 forward. So there's tons of YouTube videos, even when I wasn't doing actual video. And then somewhere, I think before a year or around the year mark, is when I started uploading video, got into StreamYard, and had a different, same mic that I have now, but just a different, I don't even know what it's called, the stand, I guess, but it wasn't a stand. It was like connected and you can bring the arm over. So I was there for a while, had the camera and the light setup that I had at that time. Y'all remember who have been watching when I had the the green screen behind me until I rearranged my room. Now my room was always clean because I'm the kind of person you could pop up at any point and my house will be presentable. So it's not that my room was ever dirty. I just didn't want the internet knowing what my bedspread looked like and all the
right.
Like, there's weirdos out there.
Have some creep out there with pictures of your
like
comforter or whatever,
family photos and all the pictures I got on the wall. Like, so I had the green screen, and then when I rearranged my room, so like if you've watched my YouTube videos, you've seen that progression. You've seen the updated, even like me getting into the aesthetics of what I post online and how I promote my episodes and what the cover art looks like and all these things. So it's like, and especially now as I have more time, you're starting to see more, but you're going to see even more and more, because it's kind of like now I'm getting into business videos, like, you know, that type of content where I'm doing stuff for my business. I'm going to get into doing more TikTok videos, whatever that looks like, because I've always been someone who would make little girl, when it'd be like a snow day or something, because at a previous job, we would get snow days off and I would like create a bunch of Snapchat videos into like a little movie that I would edit in iMovie, just like I edit my stuff now in iMovie, and make this whole production. So it's kind of like, it's always been in me to create. I just didn't have a platform before to just do what I want to do, you know, how I want to do it. Ooh, lit life. Shout out to Autumn. You feel me?
Shout out.
And so that's why y'all are seeing that even with the live shows. The live shows have kind of evolved. I used to upload the audio. I don't do that anymore. It's like you come to the karaoke battle, you be a part of it. I just want an experience that I'm creating in that moment. And then that's it. I don't want to have to worry about, well, let me read the comments. So the people that are not here and I upload it later, I don't want to do all that. You know what I'm saying? So just kind of having different things, separating things out. I feel like I've, with the promoting side of things, grown with, I guess, branding is the better word. I really didn't care about it that much before because my show is my life and how I'm trying to grow. So I didn't have like the cover art, just some of the certain things that if you pay attention to what I tweet or my IG, you can tell when it's a business post because of the colors and all that. You can tell like when it's a podcast thing, a blog thing. So stuff like that I've kind of grown at. And that's more so since starting my company, because when you kind of step up in one area, it kind of causes you to elevate everything else. So if you look at my IG from when I first started, my goodness, my logo's different because Lord, I didn't have some logos, you know what I'm saying? And so, I mean, I've just continued to grow though as a person. And then there's that too, because my show is me processing my life and how I'm trying to grow. So it's kind of like as I continue to process things and sort things out, then it's like it's just helping me overall grow. And people that know me outside of podcasting, a few of my friends are like, they're super happy that I have this platform because they've seen me do all these different things and be a part of everybody else's spoken word event or whatever. And now they see I have this place for my own. And because of that, I'm continuing, or they'll tell me that they can even just hear my growth on the mic. And even people who didn't know me, you know, I'm more comfortable because it's like, I know there are listeners that I'm talking to. So now I'd be like, y'all, whoever y'all is every week, I don't know, but it's somebody out there streaming this thing. So it's like I talk to y'all and I don't know that I don't really want to go back and listen to anything because
but now you're a full professional.
I mean,
hashtag mogul in the making.
Yes. So there's that too, because now I am, you know, technically a CEO, founder of a company, and I'm really trying to do a lot of different things. And there's still content creation within that. You know, Canva, shout out to Canva. They ain't paying me for this. But listen, I do everything on Canva. Literally everything. All of my podcast stuff, all of my blog promotion stuff, all of my business content. Even I'm working on I might have it finished actually by the time this airs, but I'm working on this business essentials workshop, and I'm using that to create the graphics that I'm gonna, you know, give to people or put wherever to advertise for it. So it's kind of like there's so many different ways to create content, and everything is content. And that's kind of what I've realized, that it's not just podcasting. Once people start listening to you, or just in general, people watch YouTube because they want to see people's lives and whatever. People watch TikTok. I'll be getting lost in TikTok land. Like, boy. And
listen, Princess got a hold of me on TikTok.
Man, so many people, you know what I'm saying? And I'll follow all these people, and I love the ones where people are just, I like the couples ones because it's just funny, whether it's, you know, acting or not. I don't care. Y'all making me laugh. But, you know, people like to just see people's lives. And so, yeah, that is how I have grown. That is how I have changed. Hit it, Jay. And if y'all don't know that song, you clearly were not raised in the Lord. You feel me?
Well, they'll know it by the end of this episode.
Right. y'all don't know about that old gospel from back in the day. I don't even know when that song was created. Them Negro spirituals type gospel.
That's an old song.
Yes. So let's go ahead to the next area of growth. So you know, I have been doing a lot of reflecting lately on the year of online dating that I did, which first of all, I've been thinking about the men that really wasted my time, that they just really disgust me, because it's like you spend time trying to get to know somebody, favorite color. You don't know. I don't know how, towards the end, I don't even think I asked the last person the one I went on that date with. I don't know if we actually talked about that, because I kind of got tired of learning all this stuff about all these people. And so it's really made me reflect, though, on just my overall growth with how I've dealt with dealing with men since my divorce, and even leading up to that, you know what I'm saying? Like prior to being married, and just the overall scan of dating, because I've grown as a person, which has caused me to accept things differently or not accept things, you know what I'm saying? Try to pursue things or not. But how about you, Jay? How have you been changed in dealing with these niggas in these streets? Or maybe not the streets, maybe in the college classes or wherever, because I was all about the thugs back in the day. But yeah, go ahead. Let's talk about how you've been changed.
I've been changed to the status of retired.
Retired because Jay used to be pimping out here, y'all.
No, I was not pimping at all. Dating is hard. And so, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'm the cynic. I'm the low tolerance. It's gotten real.
Jay don't got time for nothing.
It's gotten real old, real fast. And I was doing online dating prior to prior to the pandemic, but I think it was like 2019, only at the request of my therapist, because she was like, I think you just need to get out there and just have fun and, see what's out there. So I was like, all right, I'll get on there. And it was just as trash as it was when you guys were doing it recently. Man. It's nothing. And that's why, like, hearing you guys' stories is like the same thing I was going through a year and a half or 2 years ago. And it's like, it never changed. And when I was doing heavy online dating 10 years ago or 12 years ago prior to that, it's the same thing. It's like I don't know what it is. It's like, I don't like answering a bunch of questions. Like, I'm not at a job interview. I understand, like, you have to have conversation, but it's like so many what you eat today questions. Like, I don't want to, like, do we have to do this every day? Hey, good morning. How you doing? What you do today? Oh, what you eat? Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm just chilling. Okay. And then nothing's happening. And then later, hey, what you up to? What you doing? Nothing, watching TV. Oh, what you watching? Every day? Like, I don't want to do this every day. Okay, well, we're done talking. Let's see who else is out there. Or they're asking, like, I hate the question. I really do. I hate the question, why are you single? I hate answering that. And it's just, I literally now, if you ask me that, I'm not answering you. And then I'm what is it? Unfollowing you or blocking you or whatever it is.
Oh my gosh. She says swipe left.
Yes. It's just, sometimes I feel like the guys on there feel like it's like an interview that you have to prove something to them. Like, yeah, we came online to see who's out there, but I'm not competing for your love. This is not a reality show. Like,
Flavor of Love. Right.
I'm on there hopefully to find somebody that I can, gel with, that we kind of have some things in common. Yeah, we're going to conversate, but that's about it. Don't get mad at me because after 2 conversations, I don't want to come to your house. So now you're mad, or if I don't answer you quick enough, then you're already accusing me of something and we're not even dating. Like, it just got really old. So I met a couple of people. One person I still kind of sort of maybe talk to a little bit. Like, we talk maybe once every couple months, and it's kind of weird. But he was a decent guy.
Who I think you're talking about, he's very awkward.
Yeah, he's a little different. My therapist was like, I don't think you really like him. I think you should just, maybe that's not the way he needs to be going out with, because you would ask me updates, like, how did things go, or did you ever, go out on a date and blah blah blah, and I would tell her. But yeah, he's a very nice gentleman, but that's where it ends.
What? Maybe that was giving very Chloe vibes. He's a nice
fella.
Oh gosh.
But I don't know. It's just my tolerance is not there. I used to really be like gung ho about meeting people, and I mean, I've been I don't even know the word for it. Height fished? Is that a word? Because you say you're one height online, and then we meet, and I'm like 1 inch shorter than you, and I'm short. So that's not, you're not 5'11", sir. I'm sorry. I don't care how many different angles. I don't like the angle pictures that guys put up. I think that's weird. Like, I don't get that. I've met guys that are upset that my best friend is a gay man. They don't like that.
Why?
Because it's not natural. But if girl on girl is cool, but a man and a man is not natural. So I had to end that, because that just didn't make sense. But it's things like that, and it's like, okay, if this is what I have to deal with, if this is what the internet has to offer, I will stay home and I'll be fine. So right at this point, the guy that I meet, the person in my life, is just going to have to the Lord's going to have to send him to my doorstep or something, or at the gas station, or in the grocery store. He's going to have to sweep me off my feet, because I'm not putting any effort into anything right now. So that's where I am.
Yeah. So, man, when I think back to pre-marriage, so I got married when I was 25. Well, we'll even just say, we'll go back to teenage years, and it's relevant, so that's why. So my teenage years, man, I was out here getting it. You know what I'm saying?
Riding around and getting it.
Just busting it open. And just, and I'm not even, it just is what it is. I could laugh about it, but in some senses, it's actually really sad, because as a child, I was molested. So that's really what, you usually, are fast after that. But in an effort of like looking for love in all the wrong places. And what I realized is physical touch is actually one of my love languages. And it took a lot of healing for me to realize that actually is a love language, because of the ways that people have abused that, even like with my ex-husband, and like the fighting and all that. It made me, for a while after we split, think, don't touch me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to be touched. But in looking for love in all the wrong places, and also not understanding my worth, and so just kind of daddy issues, there's so many reasons in my teenage years why I made the decisions, but I was really just out here and I didn't care. You know what I mean? Now, I wasn't out here like that to where people like at school, like I didn't mess with anybody that went to my school. So it's kind of like I wasn't known as anything to anybody that I went to school with, because I would like where I lived was predominantly military, and it's actually not too far from where I just moved from. And then where most of the black people though would be in Omaha, in North Omaha, which is where, you know, my mom lives. So it's kind of like I was always coming out here because also back when I was in high school, a lot of the black dudes tended to only talk to white girls. So it's kind of like to be around the niggas that wanted to talk to black girls. I was always, so all my hoish tendencies and all that, nobody around me knew about that. So I didn't have this reputation at school as anything. And I didn't really like talk to people in the same circle. So it's like nobody would have known, but I know what I used to do. And then, you know what I'm saying, I got with my son's dad, and then from him, when we broke up, then when I'm 20, had another little phase of men be out here doing whatever, I'm finna do it too. That was very short-lived, and it really wasn't about sleeping with a bunch of people. I was just really clubbing for a little while, and clubbing in the Hispanic clubs because my best friend at the time was like a part of something in college, and so we'd go to like their college parties, and they were very respectful, would pay for stuff, and but never would like try anything. So for that little thing, it was like I'm out here just doing my thing, but I also was a mom because my son was a baby at that point. And then had another little though hoe phase, very very short lived, as in one night short lived, but it was, you know what I'm saying? It was a wild night. And it was more than one person in that one night, you know what I'm saying? So short lived but wild, you know what I'm saying? And then I got with the girl's dad, my ex-husband. So then I'm just in this relationship for years. And then we get married. We're only married. I don't even know why the hell we got married, because it's not like our dating and baby mama, baby daddy ship was like anything that should have made me think, yes, let's get married. But, and then after him, it's been very interesting because I have not had an actual relationship since him. So I've been single since 07. I've had situationships, but even with that, the last one of that was like 5 years ago. I was thinking about that, and it's like, and even with the situationships, they were short lived because it's kind of like I had grown up and I'm in my late 20s and 30s, and I've learned a lot along the way because I am a very reflective person in general. And then it's kind of like you get tired of certain things, or you feel like you want more than the bull, and it's not worth it for whatever little piece of peen that they're trying to give you. I don't care how good it is, you know what I'm saying? It's just I want more than that. And so then we fast forward to the last year of online dating. And with that, it's interesting because at this point, I'm in my 40s now, and I'm so much wiser, and you know what I'm saying, have such a greater understanding of how men are because I ask a lot of different men questions, my homies, to understand how do you guys think, because I just don't, nobody got time to be wasting my time out here, you know what I mean? And so it's interesting because nobody got anything in the people that I actually met, you know what I'm saying? Nobody got anything. There was no busting it open or any of that. I don't know. My daughter was like, why do you always say that? I'm like,
that's what I'm thinking. Like, she will not leave busting it open alone.
I don't know. It's just funny to me. But I mean, but aren't you busting it open when you bust it open? Like,
you can. Yeah. I guess it depends on what you're doing.
Well, like I said, busting it open. No, I'm just kidding. Oh Lord, I hope nobody like family.
But I do. What I'm listening to what you're saying just about the dating in general up to now. But I think kind of, I wish I could live my 20s again. Girl, because same. I feel like
with the wisdom I have now,
yes,
when I was it open though.
Exactly. I would have made some really great decisions with this mind now in my 20s. Probably would have been married with a family, who knows, but I didn't date that much in high school. Then I go to college and it's just a smorgasbord of just men everywhere, and they all want to talk to me, and I'm like, okay, yes, like talking to me and everybody else on camera, but to me, I'm like, yes, they just want to talk to me. Let's hang out. But I was from probably 18 to 27. I was just living my best life. Like I didn't want to settle down, so I was dating several people at one time, just having a good time, going out, doing whatever.
She wasn't pimping. Let the truth set you free, girl.
I wasn't thinking about my 20s, but I think that's what kind of, when I was ready to, like, okay, I probably need to like stop doing all the partying and, you know, maybe not be so rude to some of the guys and stuff like that, and not treat them like, you know, whatever. Then I just wasn't finding the quality people. I feel like I passed up a lot of good guys in my 20s, just not wanting to be. I just kept saying that I'm not ready to settle down. I'm too young. I can't. No, I ain't ready to do that. We can date, but no, I'm not ready for what? Marriage? Who? No, I'm sorry. That's not going to work. Let's let me go talk to somebody else. And then I get to a certain age and I'm like, okay, maybe I'm ready for that. But then it's like, I'm not finding that quality person, and then it goes to, you know, what I just talked about earlier. But I would love to go back to my 20s with what I know now, and probably take some more risk, but probably give some people some chances that I didn't really give a chance back then.
See, sometimes I be thinking, this is when I, on a previous episode, said something about having a snatched for these hoe phase. Like in some ways, I kind of think similarly, because like we got to remember, I became a mom at 19. So I still was wild in some ways with some things, but being a mom, especially once I have my daughter, because there's just something about me knowing that I'm the woman who is going to shape how this future woman is going to be, that really shifted the way I did things. When I have my son, he had a dad. I can't teach him how to be a man, and he's not going to try to be a woman. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, it didn't click like that because he's the oldest. Now I still, you know, grew up in other ways as being a parent. But that's the thing too, is that, you know, Janae, shout out to her. If you saw it on social media, she graduated her on October 1st. Now she'll walk in May with the rest of the students, but she's done with high school. And so she's not moving out yet, but like all my kids are grown now. And I mean, 41 really isn't that old. And I don't even look my age to what most people tell me. But then also I have the confidence now that I didn't have for, you know, various different reasons before. So it's kind of like, in some ways, I do sometimes think, man, I want to have a snatched 40s hoe phase, but I don't go anywhere. So that's why I was trying to be intentional with online dating, and niggas can't act right. Like
they talk themselves out of everything possible.
It don't even be, and I'm not saying it's that easy. I'm not saying that, but they make it way more complicated than it needs to be. But they're on bull. So I mean, it is what it is. But it's just something I've been thinking about lately, because I'm like, man, people wasted my time. And then I'm like, how do you even meet anybody? Because I don't go like out all that like that. Now, mind you, your girl was working, podcasting, trying, like I've always been busy. So now that I kind of own my time, I'm trying to actually be more intentional about like stuff, you know what I mean? Like just relaxation, self-care even, or spending quality time. Hey, let's go to coffee. Let's go to dinner. Let's go whatever. Because you never know. You could just randomly see somebody wherever. But I got to be out of my house in order to do that. Because, but I will say that I feel like I understand men better now. So you can tell when they're not really that interested. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like in that sense, I didn't waste as much time with people on these online dating sites than I probably would have in the past, because I used to try to make my reasons for why I thought they were doing what they were doing. But really, if a man is interested, you're going to know. And that's consistent with all my homies that are now married, as I watch them pursue their now wives, or even just my homegirls, them telling me how they're, because I know a lot of married people at my age, you know what I mean? And so you know when a man is interested. Like, you don't have to guess. They're going to make sure you know. And I didn't understand that before. So like, even though I'm talking about wanting to be out here busting it open, I also, though, am not going to waste I know not to waste my time in certain things, you know what I'm saying? So I definitely feel like I've had some growth in that area, and that is how I've been changed. Hit it, Jay.
I've been changed.
Yes. I love how we play this right after you were talking about busting it wide open.
But I've been changed. You know what I'm
saying?
Right.
You're right.
I've been changed. So, speaking of more relationships,
okay,
let's get into friendships. Man, friendship. I've just been thinking a lot lately. I just really have. The pandemic, I feel like, really started giving me so much more time to think, because especially when I started working from home, so that began me having more time and a better work-life balance and all these things. And I've been thinking about friendships that are no longer, that I would have never thought we would stop talking, or that we wouldn't be as close as we were back when we were close. I've been thinking about the way that I handle conflict, because, as people, you're going to get into an argument, just period. It's either going to be because of stress is causing you to react to something in a way that you normally wouldn't. It could be somebody really got on your nerves and for real offended you. And when I think about how I handled conflict back in the day, or even just how I view friendship, is even different. But Jay, how?
Oh my God, you're gonna do this every time. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Wow.
I'm sorry. Rewind.
What is happening? Yes, Jay, you're going to talk about every topic, and you're going to go first, okay? You got to have a segue.
Yes,
the people need to know what we're talking about.
Okay, you're right. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Start. Do it. Start again.
Speaking of friends and conflict, you know what I'm saying? Jay, how have you changed?
How have I changed with friendships? I've always, growing up, the way I kind of did and the way my family kind of was, and I think I might have said this on your show before, but my friends have always been more like family to me than just like friends. So it means a lot if I say you're my friend. I know sometimes you generalize and say stuff like that, but if I truly say you're my friend, then we're more than just a surface level acquaintance. We're like friends. You're like my family. And no matter how it is, how we, became friends or whatever like that, if we have that bond, sometimes you grow apart. Sometimes, you get life happens or whatever, but I still consider, like I said, I have friends that I've known since I was 4 years old. We don't talk every day, But if they need something or they need to talk, or if we happen to get together, it's like nothing ever changed. So, I mean, I think of them as like cousins or whatever, just, distant family that maybe you don't see all the time. But I just hold my friends near and dear. But I've also learned that I kind of got to have some kind of reciprocation. Am I not saying that right? I've been drinking. Reciprocation.
Oh, is that why you snapped at me? Because this whole time you're talking about friendship. I'm just thinking like
I wasn't snapping. I just thought it was funny. You're like, so no, Jay,
when y'all listen to this, I want y'all to tweet at me and let Jay know how it came for me. Because I'm sitting here thinking about, friend.
It wasn't what you said. It wasn't what you were saying. It was how you said it that was funny to me. That's what I was talking about. Were you gonna always say it like that? Anyway, I forgot where I was. But you kind of gotta have something out of it as well. I was always the friend that's like, whatever it is you need, I got it. I'm still like that, but it's like after a while, if it's always I'm giving, and then the one time that I need something or the one time I can't help you, then things change. Ooh, that's what I have a problem with, because it's like I'm not like I'm your friend. We are family, but you're not my kid, so I shouldn't have to, provide for you as much as Well, and I got into some deep, like I was giving a lot, doing a lot, until I realized, like, wait a minute, like what is happening here? So I pulled back from doing that. I kind of learned my lesson. Like, not everybody's going to take advantage of me, but I still have to, within myself, be able to draw that line. Like I still tell my friends, hey, if y'all need something, let me know. And I don't mind doing and helping people, but it's when you expect it, or it's like you feel entitled to.
Yes, have a problem when the one time you can't do it. Yes,
that's what that turns me off. And when we are not friends, or something happens within that friendship, that stays with me. So we can be cool, but we would never be the friends we were for whatever reason. If that rift happened, and the times that has happened, it's been because of that. Because I finally stood my ground. It's like, no, you can't have my car. No, I can't take you here. No, I'm sorry, I can't watch the kid. Whatever. Like, and you're upset. So then I'm like, well, am I a friend to this person, or am I just like, their security blanket or whatever it is? And we have to assess that. So I keep that in the back of my mind. I still want to be genuine. I don't want it to break me and make me like cold or whatever. I still want to be a genuine friend and still want to offer, but I guess I just learned that I have to be able to set healthy boundaries, like you like to say, with people. I listen to your show. Set those boundaries, and my friends are going to be okay with that. And
exactly,
most of the friends, if y'all are cool anyway, and things, and you're doing what you're supposed to do, and they're doing what they're supposed to do, those boundaries never really, you don't even come close to it. So you never really know there's a boundary set. You know what I'm saying? It's that part. And just the thing I was thinking most about, especially since the pandemic, is just the friends that I've made during this pandemic. I mean, I grew up with some of the internet. Of course, we had like AOL chat rooms and Yahoo Messenger or whatever was going on back then.
Okay.
And you had your little buddies and stuff like that you would talk to. But I've never met so many people online that I haven't met in real life yet. You know what I'm saying? That I consider friends. Right. And I'm slowly meeting people. I'm slowly getting to meet people. Like I met a bunch of people from, okay, I'm not even there yet.
I don't care.
But I met a few friends through just like being fans of Chloe and Halle when I used to be a big stan. And they're, shout out to Lex, one of my, really good friends that we don't live anywhere close to each other, but we check in on each other and stuff like that. She's a good friend. And then of course the podcast Happy Hour. That was I know
Which
Penrose
you've met
said,
some of them, you know what
I
I'm
have.
saying?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I know you're going to meet some more of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm
But
literally the only one
are you
that
gonna do
has
this right
met.
now on national
Yes,
TV?
yep. Since we here, I have met no one. Like no one. Is crazy, but it's fine. Continue. Yes, all the friends you have and that you've met. Yes.
What I was going to say is that I usually stick to myself. So this whole with podcasting, meeting people, just interacting with people online, I never in my wildest dream would have thought that I would have met 4 other women that are so different than what I am and maybe into different things. Like we have commonalities, but we all so different that we would come together and be the friend group that we are. Because it's not just, it's, some people, like you say, some people see it just as like a podcast thing, but we really have established a friendship that is still going strong with or without the pandemic. So it's not necessarily like a trauma bond where we were just together because we didn't have anything else to do. Because I was kind of worried about that. Like, okay, when we start going outside, like, are they still going to want to talk and whatever? Am I going to be bugging people or whatever? But we're still going strong. We have, plans and stuff that we're all going to meet up and have a great time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be there.
I was trying to bring it back around.
I know.
But I'm just happy that it happened. I never would have thought that it happened. And I do think it was meant to be. And it's taught me to open up a little bit more. I know I don't share a lot in the group, but
you're getting there.
Slowly, I think I've grown.
But
I think I've grown within the group a little bit. Yeah. I talk a little bit more. We used to be on Zooms. I never said anything. I would just be in the background waiting to get off and, whatever.
Are we done yet? Although she would never say that, but that's how JB about all things.
Oh, stop it. But
we're not going to do this anymore.
But I'm happy that I've gotten a chance to meet you guys and I've grown within that. And it's just shown me another level of friendship that I didn't realize was there.
I say for me, man, you said so many things that sparked so many thoughts or whatever. But I guess I'll start, since we're on the group, I'll just start there. It's interesting because there are 3 different. Wow, and I think all of them were 5 of us, so that's actually kind of wild as I really think about this. But there have been 3 periods in my life that I've had a group of homegirls or whatever. And one was middle school, high school, same group of friends, and I still talk to one of them. And we were just talking the other day how like there years went by where we didn't talk, and it's not because we fell out, just life and being parents and whatnot. But she and I reconnected, I want to say like 4 years ago, and I've just made it a point to like be intentional about staying in contact with her ever since. So that was the first little friend group of me experiencing like a group of girls. And then somewhere in my mid to late 20s, I had another one, and these were a group of women that we all went to the same church, and we just formed a friendship. It started from, I think, a small group. Now, one of them I had known prior to it since high school. And from that group, there was someone who was my best friend. Like we clicked up the most out of that group. And then now I have us. And so it's interesting when I think about how I've grown, because I'm weird when it comes to like, and this is me with everybody on and offline. I'll be around somebody for a while, like in whatever community. So be it a coworker, be it wherever I met you, and we're around each other a lot. So, with podcasting, there are different podcasters that either we've recorded together a lot, which has started to build a friendship because either before or after anyone who comes on my show, we usually talk for a little bit. And so I've built, closer friendships per se, because I'd say more acquaintanceships with some of them that, the people that I've recorded the most with. But I'm the kind of person that, like, something will be happening for however long, and it takes my mind sometimes a while to catch up with what's actually going on. And then I'm like, oh yeah, this is the homie. And then I'll kind of like change how I react to it and become like more relational or more whatever. So it's kind of like, that's kind of how it's been with the group. Like, I've always been present. I always talk every day for the most part. And I'm a pretty transparent person in general. So I've been pretty open to a degree, though, because there's always the stuff you don't open up as much about, or, I won't talk about necessarily what I'm going through.
You be talking about me.
Somehow Autumn always be knowing my business, getting these
psychic feelings
or whatever. And I remember when she asked me, what's going on with you, that one time, and I'm like, oh, I'm just busy. Whole life was in shambles, really. But it takes me a while, though, to really trust. I don't even know what it is, like, trust people. And I think part of that is because the experiences that I've had where, because I'm hot or cold, so I'm either all in or I'm friendly, you know what I'm saying, but I'm cool with everybody. And I said this on here before, but I don't rock with everybody the same. So there are podcasters that I've met that will text, or we may respond in IG or Twitter DMs and actually having a conversation like, oh, are you okay? What's going on with you? Especially like me being sick, you know what I'm saying? And so I have people like that, but I'm cool and friendly with everybody. But that doesn't mean that I view you as my friend or my homie. I'm very selective about, like, I don't call everybody bro, sis, none of that, because I feel like words and labels have meaning. So if I'm out here saying these are my friends, this is my crew, that's really what it is. If I'm out here saying this is my homie, or the people that are like my pod big bros or OGs, as I like to call them, even though I'm older than all of them, but it's just for whatever reason, they my big bros that are younger than me. You know what I mean? Like, I really mean that for whatever vibes you're giving me, or whatever advice, or whatever you did in my life, or the way God used you to speak into my life, to say things that needed to be said that you didn't know, or just whatever it is. When I say stuff, I mean it. So it's kind of like, for me, it takes a while sometimes for me to open up. But then once you in, because I've seen that you not fake. Because that's the thing too, is that I'm usually that I'm a class clown. I always have been, so I'm always gonna make you laugh. But humor is also like a defense mechanism, because if I can make you laugh, we don't really gotta get all serious or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So if I turn everything into a joke, and they know that it'd be the most serious times, life is literally falling apart, and I'm going to say something that's going to make it become a laughable situation. But I'm also observing people. So like when I'm in-person social settings, like a small group or whatever, I mean, yeah, I'll talk, but usually I'm the one, like in my small group that I go to every week, I talk when it's my turn, like, because I've signed up to do a daily reading or whatever. But for a lot of the group, I'm just sitting there listening, and I'm just sitting there observing. And then part of that is I talk so much on a podcast all the time. I'm interacting with people a lot, networking, and I am not an extrovert. I am actually, I think it's called like a extroverted extroverted introvert. So it's like I have extrovert tendencies because I have to, because of my career field, working in the social work field. You have to talk to people. I've had to facilitate workshops and stuff like that. But like a true extrovert becomes rejuvenated by being around people, and that is not me. For me, it actually can be draining. And when I have too much social time, I need to retreat. Like if I go to a get together or something, the next day I need to just like
be alone.
I need to be alone. I need to like
that's me.
Or like part of why me and my daughter have bumped heads so much and why we're good now, because we're both the same in that way, as we've been up under each other a lot. And until recently, like we were sharing rooms and all this stuff since we've been in transition, like not when we were, in our apartment. And so it got to a point where like we're bumping heads, but it's really not because of either of us, because we've always had actually a pretty good relationship. I do with all my kids. It's just we weren't getting the space that we each need to decompress and just be alone, not because we don't like each other, but because we need alone time. So now that we have that, because my mom's house is like has finished basement, 4 bedrooms and all this stuff. So when I got sick, decided to go like go in the basement, and because there's a couch bed down there and all this stuff. And then she's just like, man, I'm gonna just stay down there, because then she's like, I got my space. I would have never told her, hey, go in the basement, and I wasn't gonna go in the basement. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, now that we both have the space that we need, it's so much better, because it's like we can be out here doing whatever we need to do. Well, more so her leaving and going and hang with her friends, and then come home and know that she always comes in the room, talk to me when she gets home. And then it's like, okay, now I'm gonna go do my thing. You know what I mean? And so it's kind of like, for me, that's a difference. Me understanding what I need for myself to help me like be a better person. Me also learning that I do need to open up more and share with people that are actually safe people to share with. And so y'all are even seeing where telling y'all more things like in real time, like this just happened. I found this out yesterday, not 3 weeks ago.
When I tell you we were shocked. We're like, what?
Yeah. Like, this is what's been going on for the past month. Like, and that's how I was with everyone, though.
Yeah.
Not just like, that's just been a thing with me somewhere along the line. I don't know what happened that made me feel like people were not trustworthy. Because even my mom and I were talking about, she was like, come to us when you need help and it's a little bit of help, not come to us when it's a crisis, when it could have been avoided before. You know what I'm saying? So somewhere along the line, I made it up in my mind that I didn't want to depend on people. I don't know exactly when that happened, but it's even something that Kayliana, my oldest daughter, especially her being older and working, and I'm a single parent, but you don't want to, like, you want to be the provider and you want to be the one to figure out. And even she's had to say, like, hey, like, I can help. I would rather that be the case. You know what I mean? And so it's kind of like, there's that where I've grown in being more opening up, but then also in handling conflict, kind of like you were talking, like sticking up for myself and speaking up. Because I've always been the same way, where we could not talk for forever and then we talk again. I treat you just like it was the day we was talking before, like ain't nothing changed. But I've learned that not everybody deserves that. And that I can't always be the person. I don't care if it's just a sounding board. I can't always be the go-to for anybody. Even my kids, sometimes I have to be like, hey, I need a minute. And I didn't used to do that. I used to try to be all things to all people.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's interesting because my former best friend, why we fell out is because she had texted me and asked me to do something, and it was at a time when there was a lot going on with Janae. And those of you who've been listening for a while know that my youngest has had mental health struggles and has been like self-harm involved and all these things. So it's kind of like it was at a point where it was heavy with her, and I just did not have the capacity even to respond to anything. I just was, my only outlet was podcasting because that's a creative outlet, and this is very therapeutic for me. And so then I didn't respond, and then she texted me something else months later, and it's like telling me about a business. Prior to that, she moved out of town, and I remember saying I wanted to see her before she left, and she's like, oh yeah, we could, because she tried to invite me to some like whatever, but it was like at the beginning of the pandemic when it's like you don't really know what's what. So I was not trying to go to nobody's anywhere, and so I was told her, I don't want to go to that, but I do want to see you before you leave. And she's like, oh yeah, we'll see each other way before that. And we didn't. And then you're texting me asking me to do something for you at a time, though that's not why I didn't do it. It's that there was a lot going on. Mm-hmm. Then you hit me up, you tell me about your business. Then some more months go by again. So now this is like 6 months later. And then you're like, oh, hey, how you doing? I've texted you a couple times to check in with you. That's not what the texts were. I don't erase anything. I have receipts. Jay knows I'm always finding things. I have receipts for everything. If I'm going to talk about it, it's facts. It's not, I don't know what I'm talking about. Otherwise, I don't talk about it. But I keep all my text messages and all my text threads. And I was like, well, yeah, you hit me up, but this is what you like. You didn't hit me up to see how I was doing. This is what you hit me up. Mm-hmm. And I've had a lot going on. So I've been kind of selective to what I was honest to what I respond to. Well, she didn't like that. And we got into it because she kept saying I should have responded. And I'm like, well, like I told you, I had a lot going on. But the thing is, you're not even asking me, well, what's going on? Right. You're just mad because I didn't do what you wanted me to do. And I'm not going to feel bad about that because you still haven't asked me what's going on. You're still just trying to tell me, well, you would have responded. Okay, well, I'm not you. And that's literally the only time I've not been there for her. And it's not like she is asking me for money and all this stuff. But anytime she would text me to need to talk or whatever with Woo, I was there. But that wasn't the case in return because she would have her times where she doesn't want to be bothered. And I respected that. Like, I'm not really a needy friend all like that. Because as y'all should hear, I don't always really tell people what's going on with me anyway. So, but my whole point is, but then the time that I'm not there for you, how I take it, based on the information that was presented of what was said in the text conversation, you're mad. And so then I got tired of going back and forth because I don't really like arguing. I feel like we should be able to like express our differences, yes, but if you are either trying to shut me down and not trying to talk, you know what I'm saying, and let me finish my point, I cannot stand when people cut me off. Or if you're just not even remotely trying to consider how what you're saying or doing is making me feel, even if that's not your intent, you still have to like at least be willing to consider what the person is telling you if you care about the relationship. And if you don't, that's different.
Right.
But it's like, if we get to that point, I'm 41 years old. I was, I think, 40 at the time because this was about over a year, around about this time last year. I'm not about to like,
it's not worth it.
Yeah, in my darkest moments, I handled that with the Lord. Like nobody is there for my darkest moments. I am, excuse me, not afraid to lose a friend if that's what it comes to. And so I just blocked her and then blocked her on all social media because I'm like, if I don't want to talk to you in real life, I don't care about your pictures. I don't care about none of that because my social media is social. Like I don't have anybody on any of my social medias that I don't want to see your post. That's why people be, oh, Facebook's the devil. Oh, not my Facebook because I don't have anybody on
not
there.
Not my Facebook either.
What Facebook, Jay?
Right. Rest in peace, 2014.
That is so funny. But yeah, like I don't if I don't want, I've muted people on Twitter because it's like I'm not following you and I don't care. And it's only a few, like very few people, and you gotta be just super annoying or really that's it, because it's like, again, social media, social. Now I know you can't control certain things on Twitter, but I don't need to take a break from social media. I just need to get the people off that I don't want to see what y'all got to say, and then we good, you know what I'm saying? And so I have gotten better at more so kind of directly communicating. I used to shut down and not, like, I wouldn't have said all that before. I would have just been like, oh yeah, or just not responded and act like I didn't see the text message. But it's like, no, it needed to be said. Let's not pretend like you've been reaching out when you haven't, because that's not what's going on in this text thread that we're both in right now. And we both got iPhones, so
you know what's going on.
Yeah, like we see the bubbles when you text in and all of that. So yeah, that's kind of how I've more so grown in relationships. But then I also deeply appreciate like the genuine friendships that I do have. And I think like with our group, as we've continued to grow and we go through life and we all always got something going on in our lives, even if it's maybe either more extreme or less extreme, it doesn't matter. It's still a struggle that somebody's walking through. Like I don't look at anybody as, oh, why can't you just deal with that? Like if you're saying it's stressful to you, then it's stressful. And like we're not gonna minimize somebody else's struggle because mine or yours or whoever, you know what I mean, seems more extreme. I can't stand when people do that. And so what I've noticed with us though is like how much we genuinely support whatever, because like you said, we all have different things that we're into. Yes, we have commonalities, and I mean we're all content creators, so of course we have that, but half the time we don't be talking about podcasts.
Really, not time, even maybe 5% of the time we've been talking, we talked about podcasts.
Yeah, we don't plan podcast happy hour. It's just when are we gonna do this so that we can start advertising? So it's like, but it's at our birthdays that's when you really start seeing like how much everyone pays attention to like what's important to you. And as much as y'all have listened, because like you said an interesting thing when you were talking about the trauma bonds, because I feel like a lot of my friendships were trauma bonds where we had this common, trauma that we've gone through, and we could be there in the valley, you know what I'm saying, when things is bad and life is falling apart. Yep, people want to hear about that, they want to talk about that, they want to be there for that. But what I started noticing was when I started having more things that for me felt like victories, podcasting one of it, simply because I've never had a creative project that I stuck with so long. So when I started having that, nobody wants to hear about that. Nobody wants to talk about that, or even maybe like promotions at work or just whatever that I'm excited about. You start noticing that people don't have anything to say about that. Or you start noticing the people who, if I bring up the girl's dad dying, because that's a big thing that, I mean, even just last night, because Janae is about to turn 18 at the end of the month, she was like, I'm mad my dad isn't here for me to turn 18 because it's a milestone. And she's probably going to say something similar with graduating, because milestones, even though you think about the person every day in some way, shape, or form, the milestones highlight it that much, because you will never get to hear whatever, you know, praise or whatever that you knew you would have got, or support, or good job, or I love you, or whatever. You don't get that. And so that's a big, you know, thing in our lives. But it's yes, a deadbeat daddy, baby daddy is, that's trash. That's trash for somebody to choose to be like that. But I just feel like there needs to be some sensitivity when people are bringing up their struggles, where some people do it because they want you to feel like you're not alone, and they can relate. But sometimes people don't want relatability. They just want to be heard, and they just want to talk about whatever it is they're going through. And I've had to grow in that area, because I used to do that a lot, especially like dealing with teenagers and stuff, because you want people to feel like they're not alone. That's why I share my struggles on this show. But what I've learned is that, because sometimes I get annoyed when, if I'm talking about something and then it's like you want to bring up what you want to bring up, it's like, but I'm still
right.
Can we talk about what I was just talking about? Like,
they like take over the story now, it's about them, and then you're like, oh well, I feel
okay. I guess forget what I was talking about.
But you know, when you say that, sorry to interrupt you, but I heard that on your show say that, and I never noticed if I did that or not. But ever since I heard that, I think about when somebody is telling me something to not do that. So I don't remember if I ever did that or was that type of person. But ever since you said that, I was like, well, that makes sense, because yeah, you want to be relatable, but you don't want it to make it, you know, you don't want to end up talking so much that you're making it about yourself and less about that person, because then you realize that person's not even talking anymore, and you going on about your business. So if I do hear someone say something, and I may say, oh yeah, that kind of happened to me, and then that's all I'm going to say.
You know what I'm saying? Like, exactly. Yeah. It's fine in that sense. Like, even what we were talking about, you know, my last night or whatever, it's fine for people to bring up, but it's you hit it on the head, hit what they say, hit the nail on the head. It's when you make it where it's no longer about the person who really brought the issue, and you make the whole conversation about you and just take over. That's when it's an issue. And the friends that I've had that have done that, and then it's kind of like, when I got deeper into grief, and I mean, that really changed me. That really made me start reflecting on the friendships that I have, because it's like, bruh, I get it that your baby daddy is not around, but there is also an opportunity for him to change and become the father that he needs to be. I don't have that opportunity. And I'm not saying being a single parent isn't hard, because I was a single parent before he died. So I still had to do a lot on my own, you know what I mean? But he was available to be around, you know what I mean? And people can change, and they can have come to Jesus moments or whatever, to where they're like, dang, I need to do better, or their life circumstances can change, or whatever the reason that they're not being the father that they are supposed to be, or mother. Because I know, like with my son, I wasn't always around because of what I was going through when I was younger. And it's so funny, because let his dad tell it, and I just have decided to let him believe whatever he wants to believe. Devon is 22 now, and we have a good relationship, and we talk, we FaceTime, or we see each other or, whatever it is. But he likes to he just believes that I chose my marriage over him. And that's not what it is. It's that when we were married, there was a lot of violence and a lot of fighting, even if it's just arguing, toxic stuff going on, that I wasn't at the point when I was leaving. So I'm hoping it'll get better and all these things. And obviously it didn't. But it's like I didn't want to bring him around that. But that was short lived because we split when he was like 7. But it's like he cannot even though I apologize, owned my, like, I know I wasn't around, because there would be times when I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna come get you. And then a whole bunch of stuff would, hell, if Kayleana and Janae could have had a different daddy to go to, I would have sent them there too, just because who wants to see some other random nigga fighting their mom or talking to their mom crazy or, whatever. Don't nobody need to see that.
Right.
And so I don't regret that. And my son and I have had many different conversations about it, even about how it made him feel, because I am that parent where I care about how what I do makes you feel, because I know from personal experience that can be damaging to you. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, we've had those conversations and whatever, but I don't regret that. And so it's kind of like, it just is what it is. But I say all that to say, though, even in my not being the greatest parent, not being around like I should, I changed. You know what I'm saying? Like, my son will call me and ask me about stuff that's random. So you obviously want to, you know what I'm saying, feel like I'm someone you can come to. He writes songs about how nobody could take my
mama
place.
said.
Right. And he still does music. Now, when he be on his lover boy stuff, I cannot listen to that, because I don't want to hear any of that. So when I listen to the little clip on Instagram,
and it keeps scrolling, it.
Because I'm just like, no, sir, absolutely not today. I cannot. But, so it's kind of like, to sum all that up, you got to let people sometimes just, it's not about you. When people come to you with stuff, sometimes you just got to let it be about them. And people don't always want to hear about how you can relate. Like, I understand the heart, you know what I'm saying? But
sometimes people just want you to listen. And if you pay attention a little bit, if you're actively listening, you can tell that they just want to get it out, and they just want to talk, and they're not looking for advice, or they're not looking for whatever. They just need somebody to be a listening ear, and that's usually all, that's what they need in that time. So you just have to be an active participant in that conversation, as far as listening and seeing the cues. And they may say, well, what do you think I should do? Or if they keep asking that same question or saying that, then you can kind of tell there's clues where they want you to be. Or I just may say, well, this situation happened to me. If you ever want to know my story or whatever, I'll be happy to talk to you about it or whatever, when you're in a better space, or if you just need advice. But yeah, I get that.
Yes, this is how we have changed.
This is a therapy session.
Yes, I mean, it rises up in your spirit.
It does.
Every time you hear it. And it's, if y'all hear me laughing when I let's do a little background information on this song and why I chose this clip to have Jay bring for us on today. It was earlier in 2021 on a podcast happy hour. I don't remember who was hosting, but all I remember was Autumn was talking. And Autumn was doing her,
I think I was.
we all talk about our shows and all these things at the end of the podcast, happy hour. And somewhere earlier in the episode, I had said something about I know I've been changed and sang that song or something happened. Mm-hmm. And so as young Autumn is just doing her little outro. Yes, young Autumn is just doing her little outro, how she wants to do, because she do what she want to do. Ooh, lit life. Jay, who is so petty, y'all know. She just don't. Jay is so petty. Don't try to deny it. Jay is so petty, y'all. And it's so funny watching her open up in that way. But Jay starts playing the song that you've heard all throughout the episode very low in the background. And none of us heard it at first. Oh, but young Autumn heard it. And she was like, really? This what we doing? And me and Khris just started dying. And that was also my favorite clip on our 1 year podcast happy hour anniversary episode, because it was just so funny. And so that is why I laugh every time she plays this clip. It's not even a funny song at all, but the memory attached to it.
It was because of Tamara bringing up the song. Let me give my backstory. She sang that song. I said something like, I'm going to look it up because I forgot what we were talking about. Mm-hmm. And I said, I'll play it. Well, on my machine, there's a mute and there's a listen button. And if you're controlling whatever, you can let whoever's talking, it will still record or whatever, but you can go to the side and hit mute and listen to whatever mic that you need to fix, somebody else's mic or whatever other things you have hooked up. So I wanted to hear the song. So I thought I hit mute. I just hit the ear in which I can't hear what you guys are saying. I can only hear what I'm playing. But if it's not muted, that means everybody can hear what I'm playing. So as I'm trying to find the song, Autumn is going to town talking about whatever she's talking about. I can't hear her because I'm not paying attention to that. All I know is I play it and I'm like, oh, that's it. Because if you watch the clip, you see I'm not even looking at the screen. I'm looking at my phone. I play it. I'm like, okay, that's it. And I lower it. And when I look at the screen, I see Autumn making a face. And I'm like, okay, let me take it off of this. And she's like, really? And I just bust out laughing because I'm like, oh my gosh, she heard that. And obviously it was talking over her intro. So we kept playing it. It was a good episode. Y'all should go back and watch that. It was really funny.
Yes.
Really funny.
Memories are such great things. And so the last thing that we are going to discuss on today of how we've been changed is a story from our, I like to say, our thug years. Jay doesn't like to admit that she really had them, but then you find out about black eyes and all these things and letting niggas know that she wasn't no punk and whatever she said the other day in the group chat. So then you find out that Jay actually had a thug side to her back in the day, but she has been changed. So Jay, how have you been changed? Hidden Jay.
I've been changed.
Yes.
Excuse me. I don't know. I didn't have a thug side. Tamara, I'm not sure what you're talking about.
What word would you use? Because we know how you get into semantics of, well, I wouldn't call that. I would call that this. So what word would you use?
Is that supposed to be me? Was that an impression?
That was an impression of your words, yes.
Oh,
not your tone. It's the way I hear it because that's how it sounds.
Okay. I mean, I didn't have I think Go ahead.
Go
What
ahead.
were you about to say?
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
No, specify what you were about to say.
I was gonna say,
maybe you make it clear.
Teenage J like?
Okay. Yes.
College J, because now, college J. Let's talk about teenage college J.
Okay, teenage J was way more had more to prove than college J.
Okay.
So yeah, I wasn't a thug, but I wasn't a punk either. How can I say that? So
what do you mean by that? Why don't you specify on your not so punkish ways?
Okay, because I grew up in the city of my city, like in the hood, in the neighborhood where I lived with my grandmother. So, all the kids from the block would always hang out and whatever. I've said I grew up as like a tomboy. I thought what the boys did was more interesting what the girls did. Yeah, I can jump rope and play hopscotch or whatever it is that they did, but I also wanted to play, which I don't even like football now, but I wanted to just be in that. Like, I can play football, I can climb a tree, I can do whatever. So I was sick a lot as a youngster. I was super underweight because I had asthma really bad and I would get sick. So tiny me, probably 4 foot, whatever. But I had a little sister, and I will never forget one time. This is one of the times. Guys are playing football. I don't even remember how old they were or what was going on. I was in the house. My sister was outside playing. She had to be about probably 7. Now, this was back in the day where you can just leave all day, and as long as you came back home, you had the street lights, you'll be okay. Maybe she was a little bit younger, but it was during the day, so all the kids were just outside playing. Well, she comes inside crying. I'm like, what's wrong with you? She was like, so-and-so hit me in the head with the football. I'm like, who? And she was like, the one, whatever. I was like, okay, show me. So who am I? I'm I'm only like 4 years older than her. So here I go with myself, like going down, finding out. I bust up in the middle of the football game, break it up, walk up to the little boy, and I'm like, you better tell my little sister sorry. Now he's taller than me, bigger than me, but he said he was sorry and he left me alone because I was not playing games. There was another time where in elementary, or not elementary, I must have been like 7th grade. I don't know. We were playing
elementary. Shout out to
we
Tupac.
were playing with something. Shout out to Tupac.
The baby.
Girl, don't start that, please. Don't do that. But some boy took somebody's card or something, and it was a picture. And so I was trying to get it back. I got it back from him. Well, he was trying to chase me to get it back. And he hit me, kicked me, tripped me, and made me fall. So I fell hard, where everybody was like, ooh, you know how everybody get quiet on the schoolyard? And they're just like, ooh, I think she's hurt. But I get up with my little knot on my head. I still got the picture, and I'm like, you ain't getting it back. I gave it to my friend or whatever. But I took a lot of hits, is what I'm saying. Like, I wasn't a punk. Like, people thought because I was short and super just frail, probably looking, that they can boss me around.
Not frail.
Well, I told you I was sick a lot, but people thought that they can just get one over on me. And I didn't care how big you were, how old you were, what you were doing. I didn't go looking for a fight. Like, I didn't want to fight because clearly I felt like, I knew this big person is probably going to knock me out, but I'm not going to go running.
Right.
So if you want to take your best shot, let's just do it. Might as well just get it over with so I can go home or whatever. But I was just that type of person. Like, I was kind of the class clown because I did want to make people laugh, and most of the people liked me, but I was also somebody where, what do you want to do? We can I probably won't fight fair. I'm little. I'm probably gonna grab a chair and try to hit you with it. Who knows, But
never know.
I only got in 2 fights the whole time, and as I grew up into college, Jay, it's just that whole thing just kind of went away because I just never. It became like I don't want to waste energy on that. So if you want to argue, you want to fight, I ain't got time for that. I got guys. I have dates lined up. I don't have time to do whatever it is that you're trying to do. I'm just being real.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really have like a thug. I wanted.
In your
felt
own
like I
way,
had,
yeah.
I had to protect my sister, and that's all I really cared about. So if nobody else was going to do it, we didn't have older cousins. I'm the oldest of the kids of the
Same
like my
here.
cousins and stuff. So
Yep.
even my little cousin, my little boy cousin at the time, I'm like, who did it? Let's go find out. So I just felt like I was kind of like the protector during that time. So yeah, even though I might have been scared inside and I'm gonna get jumped or something like that, but nobody could tell on the outside. And
Never
luckily,
let it show.
yeah. Luckily I had good friends was like, no, we're not gonna let you do that. So if that's gonna happen, all of us are coming. So that was dope. So yeah. Nothing special.
Yes.
I'm interested to hear about yours though.
So mine doesn't really so much involve fighting because that was never. I've always been similar to you, like I mean, I'm not gonna run from it if it comes my way, but I'm also not out here. I never felt like I had anything to prove to any. I've never cared about stuff like that. Like I've always just. I'm not going to say I've never had insecurities or stuff like that because that would be a lie, but I've never allowed my fears to stop me from doing whatever it is that I've needed to do. I would be feeling sick to my stomach or whatever, but then once we in the moment of whatever, in all things, it just is what it is. But my thuggish ways, I was just a little heathen back in the day, like sneaking out. My mom worked third shift, and so when she would leave, I would I would wait, make sure she ain't coming back. You know what I'm saying? I would bribe my brother and my stepbrother to not tell that I was leaving. And like I said earlier, we lived like in the suburb, and everybody where I wanted to be was over north. And I had this one friend, and me and my friend that I was mentioning earlier, that's been my friend since junior high, we were talking about all the wild stuff we used to do with her and how nobody's parents liked us hanging around her because I learned how to smoke weed with her. Like she taught me how to inhale and exhale. So that was my things, like getting high, drinking. When I lost my virginity, I was with her, and I won't say she talked me into it, but like I remember talking to her about it before I did it. And so it's kind of like that's kind of how I was. I mean, I was stealing stuff. I didn't have, man, I remember one time I'm in the store and I'm with my mom as she's shopping and buying stuff. And it's not like, even as a single parent, it's not like I couldn't ask my mom for what I needed, but for whatever reason, I wanted this electric toothbrush and I didn't want to ask her for it though. I wanted to steal it. And so I stole it, and then I put it wherever, and then we're walking around the store, and they had seen me on camera or whatever. And so we're going to leave because my mom has paid for her items because she was not in there stealing as I was. So she paid for her items. And lo and behold, the store, I'm assuming manager, and I think it was the actual police officer, were waiting at the door on the way out. And the crazy thing is, they're like, did you steal? My mom's like, she didn't steal nothing. But I did, and they saw it, and they're like, do you want to empty out your pockets? So then we in this small little room, and you know how your parents give you that I'm gonna beat your ass when you get home. Look, that's the look I was getting. She might have said it. I don't know if she would have cussed, but she might have said, I'm gonna beat you, because she was saved at that point, so she might not have cussed. But then I had to do diversion, and then I remember there was another time I stole somebody's hoodie at school. I had no like me and my friend used to go in the school locker room while the varsity basketball team or whatever sports, while they were out there practicing. We had no reason to be stealing anything from anybody. I don't know where we got a pack of cigarettes from one time. We had no reason to be trying to walk down the street trying to learn how to smoke a cigarette. Like, so that's the type of stuff that I used to do, where just out here doing whatever. I've always been that, not down for whatever, because I have my limits of certain things. Like if I know I'm gonna get caught, I'm not trying to do that. And then with the shoplifting, I feel like that's the grace of God, because boosting and all that stuff people getting into, no, I don't want to go to jail. Like I don't want to get caught, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like it stops stuff like that. But I mean, you know, sneaking out and, you know, like I said earlier, being fast with these boys, you know what I'm saying? That was kind of more so how I was in my young teenage years. But then by the time we hit, I guess, college age, even though I went to college later as a, you know, older in life, by the time you hit college age, I'm a mom. So then it's kind of like I said, I had to change. You can't be out here trying to thug and all this dumb stuff. Doesn't mean I stopped smoking weed and all that, because I was still doing that for a while, but it just looked different because now I'm a mom. So I got to be a little bit more responsible or whatever. But then it's like, even as I get older and older, then you just realize like I'm 41. What I look like in certain scenarios, like that's just not, that's stupid. My kids, especially them just being so old, because I've like grown up with them. And so I had to, because I chose to get pregnant and have a child, I had to grow up quickly. But you're really not grown, you know what I'm saying? Like your brain isn't even fully developed at 19, and here I am responsible for the well-being of a whole human being and whatnot. And then like had 3. So by the time I was 23, I had all 20. I mean, not all 20, all 3 of my kids.
So now you want to share? Like, wait a minute. That's one of those delayed information.
No, ma'am. There are only 3, and they're all grown now, though. So then it's kind of like, it's just certain things is not a good look. Like when they had the fleets, and I was, you know, putting my little, sometimes I miss the fleets though. I ain't even gonna front, but I would put my little thirst traps in there sometimes. And one time I saw that my son looked at my fleets, and I would intentionally never put anything like on Instagram, because I'm not going to, because my kids are the ages that they are. And also because my son would tell me stuff like, one time he was on FaceTime with me at work, and you know, he's about to be 22 now, so he's grown and he's been grown for a few years. And we were on FaceTime, and we got off or whatever. I guess his manager or who is that? He doesn't like stuff like that, because he's like, nigga, that's my mama. What is wrong with you? That's verbatim what he told me he said. So it's kind of like, I've told my kids, especially now that I'm on social media a lot more as a podcaster, that like I wouldn't do things that would make them, because they're on social media, you know what I'm saying? But the fleets was my escape until and he never said anything at all.
You shouldn't have been going through those fleets.
You know, he shouldn't have, but sometimes it, like, you click, you put on regular stuff on, I'll put regular stuff on there. So it's like he probably wasn't expecting that, or sometimes you're just, the next person just pops up, and then you're like, well, I don't care about this, and then you click out, because that's what I would do sometimes. But yeah, so it's like, now that I'm older, it's kind of like, no, that ain't finna be me. Like that just seems silly to be my big age doing some of the stuff that I used to do. So yeah, I hit it, Jay.
Oh, sorry. Wait a minute. I'm
hit
on a
it,
different
Jay.
page. Hold on.
Hit it, Jay.
Woo. With that A and B selection.
Right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the ways that we are going to discuss that we have been changed. This episode has actually been months in the making because I came to Jay with this idea probably about 6 months ago, and life and trying to build a business and different things kind of like got in the way. And now here we are.
It was about 6 months ago.
Yeah, it was.
Like it, but yeah, now that I think about it.
What is time? But I remember it was definitely, I want to say before May that yeah, so it had to be April then. So yeah, 6 months in the making, but I'm a firm believer, even with this whole thing with my brand and this stupid lawyer. Did I tell you that? Okay. So everybody knows I won the trademarking grant because I've even said that on my show. And of course, y'all know. And so we had the meeting with the lawyer on my last day of my job, and he quoted her a price. So, because the program is paying for it. So he quoted her a price. He's like, I'm going to send an engagement letter and then we'll go from there. So he sends the engagement letter, and it's just a letter of like, hey, this is what we discussed, blah, 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 blah. And there's all this legal jargon in there. And then basically, long story short, what we noticed, which is what sparked my Wednesday wisdom post for today about business integrity, is that he added all these extra fees of like, oh, we charge this for this and that for that, which was well over double what he had quoted her, knowing she's a small nonprofit. So because of that, she responded to the email and was like, hey, I noticed this. I need some clarification because da 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 da. And then he never responded. And that was before I got sick.
Wow.
So then she and I talked because she had texted me and was like, if he doesn't respond by this date, I'm going to have to find another vendor, which is smart on her part, because then when we talked the other day, now that I'm like feeling better, we touched base and she's like, you know, I can't be getting caught up in it being something that, you know, is way more than what he said, what I can't afford, or blah, blah, blah. And then she was like, or, you know, I forget what else she said, but either way, I'm not like mad at her, of course. And I told her this, I'm like, but this makes me mad because this brand, I've been waiting to launch it. And now we're at the point that I wrote that grant to do what I did. And it's not that she's saying they're not going to do it, because she is, but it's just like, now we got to find another lawyer that's actually going to be who they say. Right. Yeah. So it's kind of like, it just really, but I brought that up because like, I'm annoyed. This has taken way longer for this to launch than I expected, but I'm also a firm believer that even when things don't happen exactly when I want them to, because there's a lot of things that I'm waiting on that I would have thought would have happened by now, it always happens exactly like now. For this being episode 100 and close to my 2-year anniversary is like the perfect time to have this episode to start a new season. It doesn't mean the episode wouldn't have been good back then, because we still would have, the song was always going to be a part of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why the title is what it is, you know? Right. But I just think the timing is perfect for an episode like this. So it's kind of like, 6 months in the making. Everything that you see, even like when you finally see the brand, man, I came up with that brand name in like November or December of last year. So I've really been learning about patience and trusting the process, trusting the timing on so many things, even my company launching and and then sometimes things happen sooner than you think they're going to happen, and it's just like, oh, okay, and it's like, oh, here we are, even though you weren't thinking it was going to happen, because my original plan was not to even be just doing company stuff at this point. So it's kind of like, yeah, perfect timing. Before we get out of here, Jay, why don't you tell the people where to find you, about your show, and all of that wonderful things?
Okay, hey guys, I'm Jay from Jay's Quick 3. My podcast is, I just pick 3 random topics, talk about them from my point of view. I talk about anything really, whatever I'm interested in, I'll talk about it. I also have like a few special and bonus episodes I'll drop every once in a while. Really into music and entertainment, so that's kind of where a lot of my specials have been. So I just released one where I had Autumn from I don't know why I was about to say Odd Tales. Audrey's on my mind. Autumn from the Lit Life podcast, which is part of the podcast Happy Hour crew, and 12 Kyle from 12 Kyle podcast. We talked about soundtracks. Mainly soundtracks of the 90s, because my question was, whatever happened to soundtracks, because they're not a thing anymore, really. No one really cares about soundtracks. Whereas when Boys in the Hood was coming out, Higher Learning, Poetic Justice, Waiting to Exhale, those type of things. We were into those soundtracks, so they produced really good songs. Our favorite artist was on them. So we talked about that. So check that out. I just dropped that a couple of weeks ago. So yeah. So that's really what I do. I'm 1/5 of the podcast Happy Hour, which Tamara talked about. We do have an episode coming up next week.
The 30th.
The 30th.
Yeah, Saturday the 30th.
Yes.
At 8 Eastern, 7 Central, and 5 Pacific on Chris's platform.
Yep. Chris's Shenanigans with Friends podcast platform. We will be on there having a good time. We took a break in September just to do us and have, some just friendship bonding time, and decided that we just weren't feeling like, being on for the camera. We just rather gather around each other and have a good time. Sometimes you need to do that. But before that, we had our 1-year anniversary. So now we're ready to get back at it. And I hope you guys join us on the 30th. And I hope you follow me or subscribe to my podcast. You can find everything on jsquick3pod.com. That's JS Quick, 3, pod.com. It has all my socials there, email, voicemail, whatever it is. All my episodes and features are on there. So check me out.
Yes, and the link to her Twitter is in the episode notes every week as well. Since she's a guest, though, I'll have her actual website, although her website is on her Twitter. So that's why I just put everybody's Twitter, because it's like, follow them. So you know when podcast Happy Hour is, you know what I'm saying? And then when you're following them, you can see the link. So it's like the one-stop shop, I felt like, was the most efficient, because podcast Happy Hour is on everybody's platform different times of the year. So it's not always on mine. I don't even know when I'm hosting again. I usually know this, but it doesn't even matter because it's not for October. October is Khris.
Well, my Twitter is Jay's. Well, she has it in the show notes, but Jay's Quick 3 pod. That's it. Just take off the .com.
Free JBoog
for sure.
Yep. Even though she's not really putting in the effort for it to be free. So I
'Cause
don't
the
even know why
man,
we say that.
I have to find the email. It's just a lot of footwork for what? Like, I mean, I lost a few hundred, but close to 600 followers, and Chloe and Hallie were following me on that page. So a little salty about that, but it's all good.
I remember when you used to say I'm at a strong, and then it'd be like a strong 35 followers.
I'm almost at 200, I think, which I never really cared about followers like that. Most of those people were people I was on Twitter back. I started in 2011, so it was all the people that I ended up talking to, interacting with, and I got a bunch from podcasting. But excuse me, I'm not that big on that, so I'm good with my strong 198.
You know what's crazy is I mean I have however many Twitter followers I have, but I really don't even care about that but I think I get a lot of followers because I'm in retweet groups. So I'm in like more than one retweet group now. And so then when people see you like live tweet people's episodes, or when I do these are the podcasts that are in my rotation right
now. They love
now.
that. They jump in
so
that.
like, and you get people that jump in it and are like, oh, listen to me next and all. So it's like I have a lot of followers, but for like their own selfish reasons. Now, not all, because some it's a mutually beneficial thing. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that about everybody, but it's kind of like I don't even care about that because followers don't equate to downloads. But here's the thing too. I don't even care about downloads anymore because I've just reached this place that I appreciate who listens, and that's all that matters. Like in the beginning of the summer, like my downloads are like half what they were at the beginning of the summer, and I don't know why. And I remember last summer downloads went down at the beginning of the pandemic, but for whatever reason I don't have as many downloads now. It's not like nobody's listening, so but even if it was only 3 people, hey, these 3 people want to tune in there, and that, you know what I'm saying? And you see, I'm faithful with my show and content for whoever wants it every week. And that's just how I look at it, because I'm just very grateful. Like, this is my platform. I can do what I want to do. No one can tell me how to run my show, how to run my live events. It's so interesting with the karaoke thing because I didn't think I was going to even do it again, to be honest. And then when the mood hits, it's like, ooh, I want to do this. And that's how all my episodes with guests are like, ooh, no one asked me to. Well, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say no one has ever asked me to be a part of it. But the people who are a part of stuff did not ask to be a part of it. I asked them to be a part of it because I want you to create the vibe that I want for this thing. But it's so interesting because the karaoke thing is something that people have reached out saying like, well, how can I be a part of it? Or even the last one. And it's like, I'm not going to have you on because you want to be on. And I don't mean that rudely. It's just, I don't have to do that. Like, it's my show.
Certain purpose you want to convey on it.
Exactly. And ultimately, I feel like you could do a karaoke thing too. Like, that's why I don't ask to be on anybody's show. If I want to do something, I do it on my platform. I don't have the people that I have on because of who they are, or it's because we have rapport. And I know, like Juice, I know when Juice comes on my show, because of who he is as a person, it is going to be a certain vibe. I'm always laughing. It's all like my favorite episodes have been the ones that I've recorded with him, just because of his energy, his personality, and we always have fun. He ain't got no sense. You know what I'm saying? He came on here talking about some candy corn poppy. And what
I wasn't even going to bring that up because I didn't want to.
Listen, me and Penrose, shout out to Penrose, because so we beef about candy corn. And if you've been listening, you know that the episode that he was on was called Candy Corn Convos, because ever since last Halloween season, he eats candy corn. I don't. He made some candy corn coated chicken wings and had the audacity
bring that up
to eat them. I need the people to know to eat them on the timeline. And ever since then, we have just been beefing. Well, this year, it started as literally just he and I, and we always are texting and laughing about this. Well, now other people who don't eat candy corn or eat it have like joined our forces. So it's like a real life war out here. Like,
it is.
For real. And Juice, bless his little heart. No, I'm just kidding. He apparently, for whatever reason, eats candy corn, is on the opposing team. So this dude, I invite him onto my platform to be a guest, to bring enjoyment to y'all listeners. And when I looked up, when I heard the little boop, because he came in the studio and I saw that it said candy corn poppy, and he saw me, like he saw my reaction. So I'm seeing him laughing, even though I haven't let him in the studio yet. Because I'm like, I know he did not. I'm not about to let him in. Episode is canceled.
Right.
So, yeah, but it's just so funny because for that particular event, I get people that'll say like, oh, you got to have me on, or you got to have this person, or no, I don't. Like, and again, I don't mean that rudely, but because of my reasons for why podcast is my own therapeutic creative outlet that is for me, and because I have always been a part of somebody else's vision, somebody else's event, somebody else's whatever, and I've just been grateful that they asked me to be a part of it. But now that I got my own, I don't have to do anything that I don't want to do, and I also don't really explain anything. I'll just tell you, this is how I choose the people, and that's all. I'm not making no promises on, because I don't want to lie to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have my vision for how it's going down before I ask anybody. So it's kind of like, at that point, if I wanted it to be what you're saying, then that's what it would have been. But obviously, I wanted it to be what it is. So yeah, let's go ahead and get up out of here, because I don't even know how we ended up here, yet here we are.
Here we are.
You know what I'm saying? But make sure that you guys are taking care of yourself mentally, emotionally. I mean, and setting boundaries is a part of that. Like, you don't have to do everything everybody wants you to do. You don't have to be everything everybody wants you to be. You know what I'm saying? But I'm also not saying that you be stubborn and not consider things. But what I am saying is, make sure the motives. You don't have to do something just because somebody said. Make sure you're out here being healthy physically. It is flu season, as I found out personally, up close and personal. So, masks. I bought a bunch. I used to have cloth masks that were washable. And then when Khris sent us the link to those colorful disposable masks, I bought several boxes of those. And in the winter, even, it's actually not that bad having a mask outside, because you know how that air be taking your breath away. Maybe not down in Texas.
Well, I'm from Michigan. I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, when I was starting to feel better enough to at least go pick up the groceries that I ordered, I wore a mask, and it's kind of like, I felt good that I could at least have this mask that I'm not 100%. Like, I'm not as sick as I was, but I'm also not 100%. So it's kind of like, whatever that looks like for you to be physically healthy, make sure you're doing that. Sleep, rest, that is super important, just as much as it's important to work out and eat healthy. And then make sure you're healthy in your relationships, you know what I'm saying? And I know the holidays are coming up, so this is like a harder time for a lot of people, because this is when you usually think about like Thanksgiving is coming up soon, and you start thinking about the loved ones. We've lost a lot of people this year. I know a lot of people that have lost people, COVID related or not, that this is going to be like the first holiday without these loved ones. So it's kind of like, take care of yourself, do what you got to do to try to get through. Winter is also just a harder time for people. They get into the seasonal depression and stuff like that. I think part of it is having to be isolated in the house because it's colder or whatever it is. But it's kind of like, just take care of yourselves, because there's only one you, and only you can do what you do that you got to do to fill in the void in the earth of, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, why are you making that face? What is wrong with you? Jay really been coming for me today, and I don't even understand what's happening, but make sure that you are taking care of yourself. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and go. You guys have a great rest of your day. I will talk to y'all soon.
Ooh, bye. Ladies and gents, this concludes transmission. Tune in next time for a whole new edition. Another adventure and mission to share, be heard, and clarify the vision of this whole new world for